Hey, want to pick a team and they might actually win?
Yeah.
Oh, imagine that. Canada's Ultimate Challenge turns our country into an epic obstacle course, and it premieres today on CBC and CBC Gem.
Wow.
It's hosted by Brandon Gonez. It's a breathtaking, heart-pounding, cross-country adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Over 7 weeks, total strangers form formidable teams and participate in 16 jaw-dropping challenges in an all-out battle for glory.
Will this show make a stop in Ajax?
You know what?
That is a cross-country adventure. They must go to the best city in the world.
There's
Ajax.
a playground. They could definitely go over and under the swings.
How's Leo at that playground?
Hasn't gotten hurt badly yet.
Oh, good.
But it's coming.
It is Canada's largest obstacle course. And, the great thing is these are young, fiercely competitive cast members.
This isn't junior, bro.
That's right. That's right. And Canada is an epic obstacle course. Expect the unexpected, competitive, epic. There will be some betrayal.
What?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, like we said, 20 Canadians from across the country on teams in 16 jaw-dropping challenges. Watch for free right now on CBC Gem, and on Sundays, that's when the new episodes come out. So be looking out for Sundays. And it's a Sunday right now.
I
Stream
think you
free.
were confused because we're a bunch of gems.
That's right. Well, yeah. And CBC's got a whole bunch more gems. If you're looking for gems, it's CBC Gem. Let's start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go! The first thing I think we want to say is thank you to everybody who came out to Boston Pizza last night. Woo! The second thing, and we'll talk about the Boston Pizza thing later on. The second thing we'd like to say is if you had been louder, the Leafs would be up 3-1 right now. So I just want to say to everybody that was in attendance last night, I wish that you had been louder.
It's your fault again.
It is.
Yeah.
Again.
Secondly, gentlemen, I have a question for you.
Yes.
In theory, I'm just talking about theoretical. Do not apply this to the Leafs. In theory, what is, in any sport, the advantage to playing at home?
You get last change.
Yeah.
In hockey, you get last change. What else do you get?
You get to stay in your own bed.
That's right. You also get fan support. That's on your
fan
side.
support.
Right. And so when you come home, you think, oh boy, we get to be at home. We get to play at home. And they're going to take advantage of that. And by they, I mean the team. Today, we're going to start with this. Sheldon Keefe is 4-12 in career playoff games at home.
That's, why that sounds so crazy is most coaches with a, 25% win percentage at home in the playoffs. Most coaches with that kind of win percentage don't get to 16 games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's crazy when you put it in those terms. We're going to be going through the core four and these guys, and here's why you got to maybe do. There's no justification for bringing back this person. None. 4-12?
4-12.
4-12. There's no justification for it.
Now, Jesse's bringing up a video clip as we speak. And when I bring this up, this has been widely quoted, but I think sometimes in press conferences, the way it translates on tweets or on the Athletic app or wherever you get your sports content that's written, whatever was said was not necessarily the intended target, if you know what I'm saying. You can things can be lost in translation. So I want you to do something for me. When you hear or you watch this clip of Sheldon Keefe speaking after the game, I would like to know how it makes you feel. And I actually want you to leave that in the compliment section, okay? How does it make you feel? There are 2 questions here. It's 40 seconds long. Let's not interrupt. Let's just go for the whole thing. Go.
Tonight being on the bench from you guys in the second period, how do you keep the group together, and what's the level of frustration?
I don't sense any frustration. Guys are pushing one another. Guys are competitive. Guys want to win. It's all part of it.
Considering the importance of this game, was the effort level where you wanted to see it?
Nothing wrong with our effort level here tonight. Guys are competing. It's physical hockey. It's guys are trying. It's a good team over there that's limiting us. You can question a lot of things. You can't question the effort.
Now,
Sheldon,
before we respond to that, gentlemen, I need to know from you both, how does it make you feel to hear that?
It makes me feel like Jesse should go first.
No, go ahead.
Each and every one of us was robbed. We were robbed. We were robbed of our time, and heaven forbid if you spent money on that fucking game. Heaven forbid if you spent money on that game. Can you please play the first part again?
Sure.
The effort part is the thing that everyone's clinging on to. But now that I see the quote, I'm so much more mad at the first part.
Yeah, the frustration part.
I agree.
saw some sniping on the bench from you guys in the second period. How do you keep the group together?
Whose
And what's
body
the level
language?
of frustration?
I don't sense any frustration. I mean, guys are pushing one another. Guys are competitive. Guys want to win. It's all part of it.
That's how you explain that you're doing fine when you're not to a friend. How you doing? Well, I'm getting sleep here and there where I can, but guys are trying and guys are. Every single person who spent money on that game was robbed. That's ill-gotten goods by the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. Guys aren't frustrated. Get out. You know what? This place is really hard to play in. It's unfair, and I think everyone should fuck off, is what should happen. Like, at what point do we just disband having a team here? Because it's impossible to win. And everyone's so miserable and sad. And you know what? No, guys are trying, and I don't give a shit. Well, this guy might have an injury. Leon Draisaitl put up 30 points in 14 games with a messed up ankle. We hear story after story after story of guys like, it's crazy to me that people are even letting any excuse leave their lips or thumbs.
There's a lot of excuses online this
They've been in the playoffs every year since 2017. Are you serious? Gaslighting. Anyone defending the Leafs this morning, I think you should consider breaking up with them. I'm not kidding. That's a toxic person. They're gaslighting you. Oh my God. What else do they say? Show yourself. Name names. What do they say behind closed doors? Are you serious? Baby, I can change. Fuck you. No, you can't. And I know we have a bigger audience here than we usually do because we are the pallbearers of this team every friggin' year. And you know what's wild? The Leafs are down 3-1, which is a bad position to be in. The series isn't over. And the craziest part is this is how damaged Leaf fans are and this team is. The team they're playing blew a 3-1 lead last year, but none of us think it can happen. I would love for it to. I would love for it. Oh, Steve, this is the time of year where you get all the views. And dude, my LFR last night, it's been less than 12 hours since that thing went up. It's got 130,000 views. And guess what? They get eliminated on Tuesday. The valve shuts off. This is my gig. I need this hunk of shit team to win.
Now, bringing it back to the coach.
No, okay, fine. The coach. That is a dude who, I mean, we've all been there. That was the body language and tone of someone updating their resume.
Jesse, I would like to know how it made you feel.
Well, my YouTube channel. No.
All of our YouTube channels. Go ahead.
No, I feel embarrassed for Sheldon Keefe. Pull up that picture of him, Maddie.
Oh boy.
Look at this man he's hunched over in front of his microphone, looking sad, playing with his fingers. He's all out of answers and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm embarrassed for him because if we think about the timeline of how we got to this point, Sheldon Keefe is so out of his depth and has no idea what he's doing. Dude. He got hired from picture went away. Can you bring that back up? There
There
go.
we
Let's
go.
just go back to us. We'll fix that in a second. But Sheldon Keefe got hired because his friend Kyle Dubas worked with him his whole life. And that's the only coach Kyle Dubas ever knew. And when Sheldon Keefe was the coach of the Marlies, Kyle Dubas was a GM. And then when Kyle Dubas got to be GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, he brought on his buddy. And he gave him this head coaching gig. And this is Sheldon Keefe's first ever job in the National Hockey League as head coach. And he has no resume and no pedigree to back up any success in this league outside of a very decent regular season team. And when push comes to shove every single time, he's proven time and time again that he is incapable of getting guys to a point where we're happy with the results of the team in the playoffs. And I'm embarrassed for him because he's up there not knowing what to do. He clearly doesn't understand what's going on, saying they're not frustrated. We saw them be frustrated literally on video, and you're just lying to us because you're all out of answers. You've tried everything, and you're out of your depth, and this job isn't for you anymore.
Jesse, we're talking a lot about emotion today. Last night was the most nakedly I've ever seen the Leafs exposed from a coaching perspective, and you don't need to understand hockey at a particularly deep level to watch what happened last night and go, oh, one coach is better than the other. One team is playing better than the other. Let's play here. Can we put it on the 3 cam? On the count of 3, you're going to fill in the blank. All right. Dump and 1, 2, 3.
Chase.
Chase.
Yeah.
No, how about dump and nothing?
Well, that was essentially what they did, Jesse. Dump and poop.
Dump and nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're the second team on every puck. Every puck, second and a 2. And there was a play, I think it was during the third period last night on the stream. There was one Bruin against 5 Leafs. And I go, who's going to be first on the puck? And the answer was a Bruin that was not yet on screen. They stink. There's no conceivable way that they could play even remotely similar to how they have in the first 4 games in games 5 and 6 and 7 and expect to win the series. There's no conceivable way. Like in years past, well, you get a few saves, you maybe get a lucky bounce. There's no lucky bounce to be had against this bloody hockey team. Against the Boston Bruins, they're killing it. Now, think about the goals that have gone in.
I don't want to get there yet.
You don't want to get there yet?
I want to talk about the.
No, that's good because I'm going to tear that to shreds too.
I want to talk about I want to keep it to the coach for a sec, and I understand that there's parts of the coaching staff that play into that, but I want to save that for a little bit later because you talked about it being sort of naked, right? Which normally is fun, but in this case is not.
Depends what beat you're at.
Sheldon Keefe saying, I don't see a sense of frustration. I see guys pushing each other. Guys want to win. And then he had nothing wrong with our effort level tonight. Here's what Morgan Riley had to say. Now, I had a problem with the first part of what Morgan Riley has to say, but we're going to ISO the second part. He said it comes down to effort or execution and effort. So the coach is saying he had nothing wrong with the effort. Morgan Riley saying, if we want to play our game, it's execution and effort. And here's what I will ask. Did they play their game?
It would appear so.
Maybe they did. I don't think. And Morgan Riley also added that he didn't think that they came out flat, which is flatly incorrect. I don't know how he has that perception, but we can leave that for later. I'll tell you how I felt when I watched the press conference with Sheldon Keefe. You can't question the effort. Yes, you can.
Yes, it can.
Yeah,
Free country.
Actually,
good.
Not only can I don't even need, right? You know what, Sheldon? You're right. I don't need to question the effort because it wasn't there.
Yep.
And I believe
You're acting like it's a conversation, Sheldon.
Here's what
This is not a back and forth. They tried the second hardest out of 2.
Here's what I caught, and this is what I believe. I think that was phony.
Oh,
I think
my
it was
God, of course
phony,
it was.
baloney bullshit.
I don't think
From
any of
Sheldon?
that.
From Sheldon.
Oh yeah,
I don't think he. I
It's
don't
so
even.
nakedly obvious.
But he doesn't believe it though, right, Jesse? Like I don't
No.
think he sat. I don't think anything he told the press last night was anything he actually believed. And I think it's updating your resume is such a perfect way to put that, because when they signed this guy to an extension last season, when Brad Treliving was
This
asked
season.
why, sorry, this season, excuse me,
Like,
Brad Treliving was asked why, and he was like, "Well, we think he's a good coach. He might be. He might be a good coach. He's not good enough." And when you come out after a game like that and you tell fans that you can't question the effort, that guys are gutting it out, this is where fans start to disconnect. And this is where you lose. Like, how do the players look at him at skate today and go, yeah, this guy has it under control, when he's nakedly lying to the press
By the way,
about
the
something
title-
that clearly is not the case.
The title of this episode must be Nakedly.
Nakedly.
Like at this point, we've said it like 7 times.
It's so abundantly obvious that this person
Nakedly.
last night, nakedly obvious, that this guy was full of shit. And I think Leaf fans, I know there are a lot of apologists on Twitter this morning about it.
And you can ignore all of them.
Well, listen, if you're
All of
okay with them losing, that's on you. I can't tell you how to be a fan, but what I will
over
say,
and over and over and over.
What I will say is
over and over and over again. By the way, if you think I said over a lot of times, that is as many times as they have failed to get past the second round consecutively. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and this year over again. 8! Stop! What? How? How is this a conversation that is not unanimous? You have to be kidding me.
well, if you're okay with them losing, then be okay with it. I'm not gonna lecture a fan on how to be a fan, unless it's like, hey, maybe don't slide into people's DMs and issue them death threats. I would say don't do that.
Panthers.
But my point is,
Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe is lying to you, and it's going to undermine him to the team. And I'm pretty sure they're not interested in what he has to say anyway. This guy's gone.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't think those press conferences are about him giving like an actual portrayal of what happened.
It's trying to
He's trying to say what's gonna hopefully calm the noise the most with the media and make the locker room happy. Like, he's not actually trying to say anything.
He did the
I
opposite,
think-
though.
No.
He did it incorrectly, but he can't throw anybody there under the bus because he's gonna get torched by his own guys in those situations.
You know what, Adam? I think Jesse's on to a point, and I don't think he did it incorrectly. If this was his goal, because here's what happened second intermission. What was Hockey Night in Canada talking about second intermission? What was Kelly Rudy ripping on?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
yeah,
Mitch
You're
Marner.
at the
Yeah,
event
National
giving away
television in
prizes.
Canada. They were, oh, right, my bad.
Yeah, no.
National television in Canada, they were ripping on Mitch Marner. Do you know what they were talking about second intermission on TNT in the States?
there was the Biz clip that's gone viral.
They were ripping on Mitch Marner. What are we doing this morning? We're ripping on Sheldon Keefe. Maybe he jumped on the grenade. And he did it effectively.
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe can't go up there and say the honest thing, and he's like, oh, Mitch didn't perform and all that stuff. He's never going to do that. He's never done that in his tenure.
Yeah,
of
our
Leaf.
stars
And the
stink.
couple times he has tried to do that, he's walked it back the next time they had a morning skate.
But this is the problem that I have with it, is that accountability starts from the inside. And I think when you let, in such a spectacularly important game, when you let players off the hook like that, to the people that pay to see them, the media is there to pass the message along between the team and the fans to say, here's what the team is saying about that performance. So essentially, all the media does is we are the transfer. We are the purelator. We bring the message from one to the other. And you're not saying it, when Sheldon says that, he's not saying it to the media. He's saying it so the media will repeat it to the fans,
Right.
and so the fans will buy it. That's how this works.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah,
can't-
but the
no,
media's-
but I can't.
the
No,
media's
Let me
smart
finish
enough.
this.
Yeah.
I cannot stand being lied to.
No,
If
I
Sheldon
don't.
Keefe had gone up there and said, you know what? We got some stuff that we got to figure out. It was a great press conference to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend you go and you watch John Cooper's address right after the Lightning go down 3-0. And the greatest quote ever. And I don't even care if they win the series at this point. He's like, if you don't believe, feel free not to show up.
And what did the Lightning do in game 4?
They won.
They won. They kicked their ass. Almost blew a 4-1 lead. But ultimately kicked their ass.
They also went down 3-0.
In the series. No,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but that's the point, though,
spilled
Jess.
milk, though.
No, Adam is like, I'm sorry if this hurts your feeling, but Sheldon Keefe doesn't give a fuck what you think. Like, he's not going up there thinking about, oh, if I lie to these guys, they're not gonna like me. He doesn't care.
Wait.
Like he's trying to be.
Wait, he doesn't care?
He doesn't at all.
Oh, well, then the media and fan pressure isn't a factor. Great. Glad that's solved forever. Never bring it up again.
Well, and if he doesn't care, Jesse, he should.
Yeah.
Because this is what he's doing.
I'm not debating whether or not he should care or if he's saying the right thing, because I think both things are, he's on the wrong side of it. He should care and he should say different things. But the way he's acting right now is, I don't care what anybody's thinking. I'm going to try and just spin this narrative as best I can. He's doing a very poor job of it. He's trying to get his guys in the locker room to be happy with what he's saying on the podium.
So the reason I wanted to start here is because, you know, I actually disagree with what you said a couple minutes ago, Steve, when you say that Sheldon's the story and Mitch isn't. I think Mitch is very much the story.
Oh, he's very much the story.
But I
Sheldon
think
took some of the heat.
I think it's pretty easy to just go right at Mitch Marner. And I want to go a little deeper with Sheldon.
Okay.
I want to go a little deeper with Sheldon because I was watching the game last night. Were you guys?
Unfortunately, yeah.
What was the last
What do you mean?
What was the last shift in the last line to take the ice before Matthews, Marner, and Nylander at the end of the game?
The fourth line. They went out there with.
Well, no, it wasn't Matthews in the third period.
Sorry,
Matthews.
Nylander, Riley, Bertuzzi, Domi.
Yeah. The logic was they just went out. They had a power play and they played all their guys. So then you have to throw out the fourth line because you don't want to double shift. Because what happened, like last game, they tried double shifting and that was the goal that they allowed right after they had scored to get within one. They allowed that on a double shifting Matthews Domi line. So he's kind of working that back by trying not to double shift them. But I don't think the fourth line is the collection of guys.
And that didn't work either.
Right.
So we tried this, didn't work. Tried the exact opposite, didn't work.
Yeah.
They go out there with, I think it was Holmberg, Reeves, and Kampf. They all do their role fine. Reeves, big dude, Kampf, shutdown center, whatever. Holmberg, I am liking more and more. But you don't have three less capable forwards offensively. You don't.
Yep.
Not in the lineup.
Yep.
What about Noah Gregg? Well, he wasn't playing, was he? You don't have three less capable offensive forwards, and they ate up a quarter of the time remaining.
They played for a whole minute.
It's crazy. It's psychotic. It's out of your mind. It's illogical that they were even on the ice. It's crazy.
See, to me, what you do, and I don't remember what the stoppages were, so forgive me if it went all the way through. I don't think it did. But to me, what you do is you call a timeout.
Do anything but what you did. Anything. Like, okay.
Let the guys breathe. Get out there.
Like, okay, they were tired from the power play. Bertuzzi, Domi, Marner, Robertson, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander, Yarncroke. I just named 8 horses. Were they all out there at once? I didn't name a single defenseman, by the way.
The guys who came off right before that fourth line shift was Yarncroke, Nyes, and Bertuzzi. And right before that was all the guys was Marner and Tavares and everything. So he went with the big horses minus Matthews, and then the Yarncroke Bertuzzi line, and then the fourth line, and then for the rest of the game was their 6-on-4, 6-on-5
Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah,
it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. What's the money for?
Right. That's why I say call it timeout.
Like, I know a lot of Leaf fans don't love producer Drew. I happen to like him. But he talks about Nathan McKinnon. I like getting perspective on other teams that have stars and something else, and I'll talk about that after. Nathan McKinnon probably wouldn't leave the ice for the final 5 minutes of the game. Like this dude who spends his summers running up and down Signal Hill in Halifax. Why don't the Leafs even have a molecule of the dog in them that he has? Rantanen, did you see the clip going around last night? It was Rantanen, Alexander Georgiev. This is an Oilers-Avs game, and I take it that the game wasn't going very good. We talked about the Leafs sniping at each other last night.
Well, we haven't yet.
Well, we're going to, but they were sniping at each other, and Nylander's like, oh, stop fucking crying, bro. Blah, blah, blah. Georgiev is talking to the ref. Mikko Rantanen starts yelling, and the ref turns around thinking Rantanen's yelling at him. He's not. He's yelling at Georgiev, and he's yelling at his goalie, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'll fucking kill you.
Is that what he says?
Read his lips.
Wow.
At his goalie, and Georgiev just nods his head. This is a goalie who got a guy traded out of town because he punched him in the face. And Rantanen, who is the second most intense player on that team.
Which is crazy.
I'm not saying, hey, that's healthy. That's a good thing for teams to do. But those are the stars that other teams have. That's the intensity that they have. The other perspective that I like having is the Scots in my family who, like, hockey is not their number one thing. For years now, they can't believe this group is still together. They can't. And I know it's like completely different sports, completely different structure and salary and all that. They're like, Steve, explain to me like I'm 5 why they're still trying this. Like, how many seasons do you get like this in the English Premiership?
Maybe a half season.
Maybe a half season. I think maximum 2.
Yeah.
Also, there's a reward for regular season success. That actually matters over there.
Yep.
Leafs still wouldn't have gotten anything, by the way.
I
don't recall them winning a President's Trophy.
No. And just the last thing on the coaching, because I think this is important.
Before you get too far, does it change your mind if I tell you that Mitch Marner played 4 minutes of the last 6 minutes of the game?
Good. He ought to.
Yeah.
He ought to. Yes.
Yeah, and he did a 2-minute shift, which is
it's a lot.
Just amount of time.
It's a lot
in the NHL, and then they had the 2 shifts with that Nyes line, and then the 4th line, and then he was out for 2 minutes again.
Who else?
What do you mean?
Like Mitch is one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't out there when the 4th line was out there. Again, I named 8 horses just forwards.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Riley, Liljegren. Oh, you scratched him. Okay. Like, even no one's going to want to hear this. Brody, like, I know he can move the puck a little bit. Jake McCabe can move the puck a little bit.
McCabe was out there at the end of the game.
Right. Yeah. But it was literally the 4th. It was Holmberg, Reeves, Kampf, Edmondson, Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the most offensively capable person out of that group? I think the answer is a Comet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was out there with 4 minutes to go in a 2-goal playoff game. You're nuts. You're out of your depth. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. It's unacceptable. I don't give a damn. Like, it's impossible to me that entire combination of people. Hey, maybe you want to go completely nutty professor and go, you know what? I'm going to throw out all the big guys and Ryan Reeves is going to go to the front of the net. Like, just to be a jerk.
Okay.
You know what? That would make more sense than just, here are our 5 least offensively capable players. The only thing they could have done to make it worse, maybe, is replace Brody with Lyubushkin. But Lyubushkin was like possessed by the spirit of Paul Coffey or something during that game. He had really good underlying numbers and he looked good. So like he wasn't even the problem. It's unjustifiable.
I think the strategy around getting to the point where you're left with your 4th line to play with 3 minutes to go is the error there. I think like the way it was set up and the guys who got the ice time towards the end of the game is correct, but the fact that he's not able to manage line changes to the point where you can have the guys out for a reasonable amount of time. And Adam, I think you're right. Like if a timeout is what you need to utilize in that scenario, so you're not in a position to play the fourth line, you need to be able to manage the game, because there's so little that a head coach of a National Hockey League team can do to affect a game.
Yeah.
And one of the things you can do is line changes. The other is strategy. And he's not good at changing lines.
I'd rather have Mike Van Ryn out there in his full suit.
Well, and this is what I wanted
what
to
they
get
put
to,
out.
guys, because I think it's important that we talk about the coaching effect on a couple of things. First off, their 5-on-5 play, which is good, quote unquote good.
In what way?
Well, and I say in the numbers way. Like Justin Bourne, I think last night said, like they'll possess it and it'll look good on the stat sheet. But the reality is they're not getting much done in that possession.
No.
And
No.
I think that's the key differentiator. It's like, oh, that's great. You have the puck as much as Boston does, or more, but it really isn't translating anything. The other thing is, what I never understood about this team, and this goes back to coaching, is when they do zone entries, meaning that they're going into Boston zone. In the regular season, they do it one way. In the playoffs, when there is no room, they can't do it that way. So then they got to switch to dump and chase. And they don't chase. Now let's get, but that's the second part. The first part is, if you know that this only works in the regular season, why are you doing it?
Oh, I know.
Why are you all of a sudden after game 82 going, okay, let's switch everything?
Well, how about this? Sheldon Keefe a couple years ago put such an emphasis on playoff style goals and how they didn't score them. And then the next year they did. They did. They scored a bunch of them. They stink. They cannot get a goal. How many goals have they scored that you would consider a playoff style goal where they're banging one in from in front of the net? I count Domi.
Yep.
That's it. And you might go, well, what about Matthew Nyes? No. Like Marner's had two really spectacular plays in this series, and we're going to get to him. To me, they're hope and a prayer, low percentage plays that, I mean, the best players in the world can pull off low percentage plays, but like you can't expect to get more than one pass like the one he executed to Nyes. You can't expect to have more than one of those connect in 4 games.
Yes,
They work in the regular season.
Yeah, and it's
shit, low percentage.
Friggin' toe drag between the legs to your backhand, tuck it in. That's like once every several months, even for a star player sort of thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, it doesn't surprise me in the least that he did it. We've seen him pull off magic like that, but it's shift in, shift out, shift in, shift out, shift in, shift out. Struggling to not make it about Marner here because I know you want to isolate that segment. They're not scoring playoff style goals as a team. They can't get the puck in front of Domi. They can't get it in front of Bertuzzi. They can't get in front of Tavares. They
also
get it
won't
in front
shoot.
of Nyes. They won't shoot. And when they do, it can't get through. Like, I've never seen this is why so many Leaf fans are just like, oh, it's over. Like, you could conceivably be like, yeah, well, maybe if they do this or do that or do that, they get a little lucky and they force game 6 and then we see what happens. Jim Montgomery is stuffing this entire team into a locker. It's sad and pathetic. Like, the Bruins might, and I wouldn't have predicted this at the beginning of the series, beginning of the playoffs. The Bruins might mess around and win a Stanley Cup because even though they're getting hit a lot, they're going to go into the second round fresh as a damn daisy. Fresh as a daisy. Like, I would love to say that, you know what? It's just their hustle. Their hustle is killing the Leafs. And they're just sort of standing in the right place and the Leafs aren't.
Well, if you look at Paul Bissonnette pointed it out, he did a great job at breaking down Mitch Marner's game after the second period.
Oh,
and so this is pre the goal that Marner scored, but
it's
with
the best anyone's ever done it.
What I love about it is he did it unafraid.
Yep.
And because there is a fear about criticizing this player in this town. And
not going to get a call from his agent or anyone else in his camp. Yep.
So here's the thing. the thing that I think Biz really nailed, guys, was on the Brad Marchand goal on the power play where he's wide open. There's a diamond formation, and Mitch goes down deep, and Paul actually pointed out something that I missed on the broadcast, which is he's got one hand on his stick, and he goes to the wrong side of the puck. And then Boston is able to move that out, and then there's nobody on the point. The Leafs have to collapse in, which allows Marchand to be open. And listen, we'll talk about Sammy's goaltending on that play later on.
He's terrible.
But
there's not much to say.
But that play doesn't happen if Marner doesn't do that.
Right.
And that to me is a coach who I don't think it's Sheldon. I think it's his assistant. Whoever runs the PK, it's on them to make sure players don't do that. And if you do that, you're sitting.
Let's say Marner is limited by his high ankle sprain. Sheldon is making the exact same mistake Mike Babcock did with Zach Hyman. Nothing has changed.
Who had a blown knee.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
Adam, your point, I didn't want to get too far from it about them not being able to score, and then Steve's point about Bruins clogging up the middle and not being able to get shots through. The reason they can't score and do their zone entries is because they're not a good team off the rush. And the reason they're in these positions where they can't get shots through with the Bruins is because they're always, whenever they do finally enter the zone, they're in a position where everything is collapsed. So it's a problem where they can't do anything where it's just like, we get the puck and we're going the other way. They need to, every single time they get the puck, it's a couple seconds back in the zone to do a back pass, and it's not just charging the other way because they can't play off the rush, and that leads them to playing in these clogged up zones. And it's all just compounding on top of each other.
Well, they're lackadaisical in setting up plays. It's outrageous.
Well, and how about this? The Bruins are so good at breaking up the passes and blocking the shots because they're not even like hard shots to block. They're floating everything on, hoping for a tip. It's hope. The strategy is hope. And that's not a strategy. We're going to throw it on. It's going to bounce. Throw it on. It's going to bounce. Throw it on. It's going to bounce. Watch. Maybe it'll work in game 5. But like the whole thing that I was saying about the early series, like they wanted to lay hits and abuse. You shouldn't take a shot that isn't a slap shot for the first 2 games of the series.
You shouldn't be in positions where you're setting up slap shots. That's the thing, is they're too slow of a team where they're allowing the Bruins to set up their defense. They're sitting.
Yes.
The Maple Leafs aren't a fast team in the way that they don't play fast. The Bruins are a great defensive team, and every single time they have to play defense, they have an opportunity to get in their defensive formations and block everything that the Leafs are throwing at them. I don't want them to be in positions where you're taking slap shots. I want them to be playing off of the rush, and they don't have that capability.
No, and I pointed this out. I can't remember if it was on the show or on the stream, but what did they do for the final 10 minutes of the game? Rush up to the blue line, pass to Tavares on the boards, enter. Rush up to the blue line, pass to Tavares on the boards, enter. Do you ever wonder why you're having such an easy time doing that? It's what they want you to do.
They're allowing you to set that up because it's so easy, because it's such a slow moving play, and they're happy to sit back and just defend that.
And I'm literally some asshole. I'm literally just some fucking guy, and it's the easiest thing to identify in the world, and they won't move off it.
One of the things that we've been saying for years now is specifically when it comes to certain players in the Leafs, Marner sticks out on this in this level, is once we get to the playoffs, he especially, but they become perimeter teams and perimeter players. And hey, you know what had happened when Marner scored the goal last night?
Like afterward?
No, what happened during? How did he score?
There was traffic in front of the net. He pulled the puck between his legs to his backhand and shoveled it in.
And he drove the net.
He went to where goals are scored.
When Marner drives the net, that's where he gets his points. And I don't see that in the playoffs from him. And if you can go back, and it starts for me really, when I really noticed it was Montreal. I mean, it's probably before that, but I can really remember going, I'm not seeing him drive the net the way that he is. And this comes down to coaching. This comes down to and listen, don't worry. We have player segments coming up. We're going to talk about the player part, but your coach is not setting up plays that allow you to be the best player. And I think,
wait. I want to fight you on that.
Please give me.
What if the coach is trying to build the best system he can for the team that he has, because they friggin' won't do it? They won't. Hey guys, you should drive the net.
That's the wrong coach.
But if that's the feedback,
the last guy was the wrong coach too.
If that's the feedback,
the wrong player.
If Sheldon Keefe goes to management and said, my guys won't do this, then the fault then lies with management. Because if you won't do this,
Good, and they're all gone.
goodbye.
They're all gone.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Except for Brad, they're
It's
all
easy.
gone.
That's an easy call.
Easy
Goodbye.
call.
And
He's
so,
gone too, unfortunately.
So I don't think he's gone. But the
Keefe?
No, Brad.
no, Brad.
Oh,
No,
no.
you said-
Sorry, I was
yeah.
talking about Keefe.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Made it
my
sound
bad,
like
my
with
bad.
Brad. I was like,
My
no, I
bad.
think Brad's going to stick around.
I thought you said that.
No,
Yeah,
Brad's
yeah,
sticking
I was like,
around.
oh.
Jesus, he just got here.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to the BetMGM big story because I have some questions. And then we're going to talk about the players. But I want to say this. If Keefe and his staff are not saying today, guys, drive the dirty areas in front of the net. If that's not the only thing they're preaching, that has to be it. That has to be it on the power play too. What's the point of getting players with snot who can take abuse in front of the net if you're not going to play to that? What's the point?
Adam, they're all booking U-Hauls today.
So here's what I got to ask you. Are you ready for the BetMGM big story?
Sure am.
All right, let's do it. I know today, the Leafs being down 3-1. I know
Is that publicly known? Is
that
widely known?
it's possible that they come back and they win Game 5. I don't know how. Even Daniel Winnick, former Leaf, was on Twitter today going, series isn't over. I mean, it's difficult to see a path forward.
But that is the attitude to have.
But yeah, sure, absolutely. So I wanted you to see what the odds were.
Okay.
So if you bet on the Leafs, if you're this serious about it, guys, you bet on the Leafs to win the series.
Okay.
And you put $2 down, you will win 17.
Wow.
It's an 850.
Wow.
If now, what do you think is most likely the correct series result? This is what BetMGM has. Boston Bruins 4-2. That's 4 times.
Okay.
Boston Bruins 4-3. 6.5 times.
Okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3. 8 times. And Jesse, what did you tweet last night?
You got to lose 3 games to win in 7.
You should go to jail for that.
It's not. It's literally not over. Let's not bury the casket just yet. The body's still alive. Let's not throw dirt on that yet. If there's still a shot here, miracles happen all the time in sports. You know.
Adam, what's Bruins in 7?
Bruins in 7 is 6.5 times.
$2 Steve doesn't bet against the Leafs, but if you're not $2 Steve, that's the one.
If I remember correctly, Steve Dangle's bracket had the Bruins winning the first round series.
in 7. In 7.
You said $2 Steve doesn't bet against the Leafs.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I didn't put money on it.
Those odds should be better. Those odds should be well, they should be worse technically for the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the series. Like 8.5 times your money isn't enough. Like for them to pull this off, I want like 20-1 odds. I want to be able to make a killing off of this because no one believes that.
Here's what I want to
No one believes they're going to do it.
I want to be able to bet on last Leaf goal of the season.
Like the guy?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think it's going to be? It's going to be like Kampf.
It might be
Yarncroc.
my bet is either Reeves or Marner from his goal in game 4.
no way.
You think they're going to shut out?
Why not?
Oh my God. Yeah, the series spread for the Leafs plus 1.5 is a 385. It's to me, the story is going to be, can they get it done in game 5 and extend this the way you talked about in the video?
I would love it. I would love it.
Listen, everything we say here is based on last night's game. I believe that this series is done, but I will also be thrilled if it isn't.
Yeah,
I don't
I'll be
believe the
thrilled.
series is done because it's not done. It's not how the series works.
That's fair.
Until you lose 4 games, the series is not done.
Can't argue with that. That's true.
And
There
Adam,
isn't a single series that is done.
exactly. Exactly. And Adam, you are burying the lead.
What's the lead?
This is the big story. The
I'm
biggest
sorry.
story is the odds of the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
What is that?
101 to 1.
Yeah. Well, the odds weren't good anyway, so that makes it okay.
Put $1 down, get $100.
Do it.
Throw $10 down, get $1,000.
Do it.
Leafs
Wow.
Cup run. Florida last year was down
3-1.
These Boston Bruins. Not even 3-1, but in game 5, they were in overtime. Not even in overtime. They were down with 2 minutes to go in Game 5 on the brink of elimination. And what happened?
They won.
They went to the Stanley Cup final.
They were down with under 90 seconds to go in Game 7.
Unbelievable run from the Florida Panthers.
You might maybe believe.
If we're ever going to turn a page on this team, if the narrative is ever going to change, it's going to be a miracle.
This is the most toxic baby I can change I've ever heard.
We need a miracle from these guys for the page to turn here and for them to turn a new leaf. And if it's ever going to happen, it's going to be on a 3-1 comeback against the Boston Bruins.
You know what? Wow. I'm inspired.
Now, do we believe this is going to happen?
No.
I'm almost there.
A little bit.
I'm almost there. I can't lie.
A little bit.
I'm feeling good about it, Jesse.
A little bit.
You heard Brooks me there.
Because it's not over. It's not over till you lose 4 games, and they have not done that just yet.
And that is the BetMGM big story. Go to betmgm.com/dangle for all your odds. And may the odds ever be ever in your favor. I messed that up, but I tried. Hey, catch all the action at Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. It's time to bring it home. It's been 30 years since we brought it home to Canada.
We need it home.
And we did have an amazing time at Boston Pizza Bowmanville yesterday. Just spectacular. I just want to shout out the everybody that came. We had some people in from Montreal, some people in from Windsor.
That's unbelievable from Windsor.
Some people from Whitby. It was just wild.
All the way to the Manville.
That's right. And listen, we tried some of Boston Pizza's new limited time playoff menu, which is filled with shareables and beverage innovation. And we actually, after you left, Steve, we had a share plate and it was delicious.
I'm so jealous.
Had the Thai chicken on it.
Adam, you didn't do it, and I'm upset.
Oh, okay.
The fishbowl?
Why didn't you chug the fishbowl?
Because they didn't win. That was the deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
and you were going to drive me home.
I retract it.
Yeah, you see?
I retract my anger.
But Maddie had it. So first off, they ran out of fish bowls. So they gave it to her in a gigantic Boston pizza sized beer. And she got the Bellini. And it was I had a little sip. Woo! Outrageous. So this year, Canada is taking back our nation's game, and Boston Pizza will be the host of it. Beer will be flowing, atmosphere will be electric, and it was yesterday in Bowmanville. We cannot wait to host you. Let's come together and cheer for the win for Canada and the playoffs at Canada's biggest sports bar, Boston Pizza. Now, the next thing we need to break down is a breakdown in net. Ilya Samsonov. I got so heated when I got home last night that I called him Sergei Samsonov to my wife, and she's like, "Who are you talking about?"
He was drafted by the Bruins, and people thought he would be better than
you do that on the show when you're not heated.
I know. It's
so
ridiculous.
I don't think that had anything to do with it.
He's the most notable Samsonov.
We have probably seen Ilya Samsonov's last game as a Leaf, barring some sort of injury. Mm-hmm. Joe Wall, if he backstops them all the way to the cup, Sammy's not playing. And you cannot have this guy in the net and expect to win.
No.
And I'll give Joseph Woll credit. Last night, he made some good saves in the third period.
Sure.
He didn't look good in the regular season. So there's my beacon of hope. Now, I want to play a little bit of Steve's LFR from last night. This particular clip is a big one, and it starts with the Sammy Pyramid of Giza look. Now, we'll break this down in a second, but go ahead and play it, Jesse.
Look at that nose.
The Giza! Producer Drew was in my ear during the streams like, I think you're being too hard on Sammy. Like, maybe he wasn't set. Wasn't set! He's the goalie! Like that goal from Trent Frederick. Oh, he was distracted from Tyler Bertuzzi and Brad Marchand. Ah! What are you talking about distracted? The puck! You're a goaltender! Tend the goal! The puck! The puck! The puck! Follow the puck! JVR went 5-0. 75% of the people watching this video right now could have seen that coming.
All right,
that
pause.
dude loves 3.
So the puck part, when I was in such a dour mood this morning that I'm watching this in bed with Natalie. Like, I had my laptop out. I'm like, let's watch LFR. Actually, she forced me to watch it because I'm like, I don't know, I'm too depressed. And then I watched it, and the puck thing made me laugh so hard that I teared up and I farted.
Yes, that is the number one compliment you can give me.
Why didn't you tell us that?
Well, I just thought you should know because it was such a great icebreaker. It's the reason, like that video is by the way, it's trending on YouTube right now, and it's because there's so much in it that really breaks down how Leaf fans feel. And I want to talk about Sammy quick before we get to the Nylander, Marner, Matthews, vengeance in it, because I think that's important.
Please get my face off the screen.
And I think you said it perfectly in the video, Steve.
Oh, no, Maddie, put him back up.
Yeah.
You have the amount of fingers up that the Leafs will win games in a row.
Oh, there you go.
He
Jesse Blake,
has
everybody.
3 fingers up.
That's right.
3-1, come back. Let's go.
That's right.
Starts on Monday.
Jesse,
Tuesday.
sorry, Steve. Steve made a really good point.
I know.
Which is Sammy was unbelievable last year against the Lightning. That is a series that the Leafs actually got really outplayed in, and Sammy won them the series.
He
in a
won
lot
them
of
game
ways.
6.
He did.
Yep.
And we said it on the show last year. We're like, well, they really didn't outplay the Lightning, and they actually won one. How weird is that? Then he got injured against Florida. Wool came in, did a great job, but it just wasn't enough. The team, they got rinsed.
Yeah.
It is what it is. With Samsonov, this is a player now that even with what they went through with him this year, they were willing to, and I give Treliving and staff credit for this, they were willing to wait this out, try with this guy, try to rebuild this guy.
It's one of the best reclamation projects I've ever seen.
It's amazing. And towards the end of the season, with a week left, Sammy lost the confidence again. Whatever reason it was, I don't know what it is. He was terrible in the last few games, and he's been terrible going into the playoffs. And by the way, you should pay attention, and we didn't. You should pay attention to the last few weeks and how your team is doing beforehand, because it is sometimes indicative of how it goes into the first round.
Doesn't this happen every
year? Every year. It's the hottest team that wins.
Games 79, 80, 81, and 82, they're dead.
I tried to do that by picking the New York Islanders, and what did that get me?
It got you a big win last night. Got you a big win in overtime.
Me too. Hey, let's go.
Oh, but like Carolina is also hot going in because they're a very good team.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the one thing I will say that changed in the first 10 minutes of the third period, the Leafs did actually come out. I'll agree with Morgan Riley on one thing. They didn't come out flat in the third. They came
already
out
down 3-0.
They were already down 3-0, but I do feel like when they were at their worst with Sammy earlier this year and Woll came in, they played differently in front of him. When that Leafs group lost confidence in Sammy, they played terrible, and so did Sammy. And then when Woll came in, they were a completely different team because they're like, okay, I know I can play now. And I saw a little bit of that, a flash of that last night. That's the thing that's giving me hope going forward. But I wanted to ask you guys with Sammy, like, this has got to be it, right? This has got to be it. Not just now, but later.
Like, unless the Leafs somehow win this series with Woll and Woll gets hurt in like the Eastern Conference final. There's no way we're going to see this guy in a Leaf uniform again. Not playing, warming up, sitting on the bench. He's going to wear the shit out of that cap. He's done. He is done.
And why is he done?
The absence of stopping pucks.
I believe you said the puck.
The
puck.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like, listen, Reeves, bad giveaway. It's JVR tucking it weekly, 5-hole. Marchand on the power play. Poor coverage from the Leafs penalty kill. At least the second time this series, your knees aren't even facing the right way. You can't find the thing. You don't know where you're going.
He overcommitted too.
Yes.
With the Marchand goal.
And then the third one, yeah, it's a 2-on-0, but like you know you got no shot. So
well, I don't we don't need to see TJ Barty play another game either.
No, he's done too.
That gamble that he made to try to break that up, all he had to do was skate backwards and stay in the middle. He didn't even need to break the play or stop the play. Just stay in the middle. Instead, he gambles at the blue line.
Yeah, but why does he do that?
I don't know. Why does he do
Goalie's not making a save is why he did that. So I might as well try something. Like, I almost got to grade this defense on a curve. Like, it's one of those things where you look at the goalie and you're like, yeah, well, he's not getting any help. And then you start going into the decision-making of the goalie's teammates. Why are they making these decisions? Because they know you're bad. They know you're not going to give them a save. Or at least they don't know. They don't know. Like, there are teams out there. Boston knows. They're confident enough in their goalie that they're like, you know what? What happens, happens. We can take some risks. We're going to be responsible. We're not going to be stupid. We're not going to be silly about it. But if things go south, we got Jeremy Swayman back there.
Yep.
And he might just give us a save. He might just give us a save. How many times has Samsonov given them a save? Dude, it's the second and third period of game 2. They won that game. You just have no shot otherwise. No shot.
Jesse, what did you see from Sammy last night that makes you? I don't know what you believe. Do you think Sammy's done?
Oh yeah, no, he's done. Like you don't bring him back. He's a UFA at the end of the season. Like I'm looking at who's going to be a UFA goaltender at the end of this year, and I look at like Anthony Stolarz. Like that might be a good little tandem with Joseph Wall. Maybe you bring back Martin Jones on some sort of really light contract because he performed well, but somebody might outbid you. In that situation because of how well he played, and the market's a little bare for UFA goalies, so it might be a trade even.
Has to be
with Brody coming off, you don't bring Brody back. Klingberg's contract comes off. That frees up about $9.5 million. You're going to have some, and Sammy comes off too. So
there's 12, 13 million.
So you're going to have room to play with to go get like a $3-4 million goalie. So I think there's an opportunity there. Just go buy something that's a little more stable than what you get with Sammy.
If you got just okay.
Yeah.
If you got a slightly above average goaltender who was consistently slightly above average.
Mm-hmm.
How many truly great goaltenders are like even left?
Well, I think you'd say UC Saros. I think you'd say Connor Hellebuck. I think you'd say, depending on the season, Markstrom has those years.
Both those goalies are losing their respective series.
Yeah, but let's be honest. UC Saros, he had one bad game in the Nashville series. Otherwise, he's been great.
He allowed 2 goals on or 3 goals.
Yeah, you can't take what's happened in the series and discredit UC Saros.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, like, growing up, Dominic Hasek is at the other end of the ice, and you're like, welp, hopefully you win 2-1. You know what I mean? Like Carey Price in his prime, Henrik Lundqvist, Andrei Vasilevsky a few years ago.
I would say those goaltenders also had bad games, and those teams didn't always win.
Yeah. But like
Lundqvist never won a Stanley Cup.
I know, it's crazy.
Carey Price as well.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so I think I don't want you to poo-poo on UC Saros.
No, I'm not poo-pooing him. But what I'm saying is the gap between a league average goalie and an elite one is probably smaller than it's been at any point in the last couple decades. There are elite goalies in this league, but and I'm not the gap between the best goalie in the NHL and like what the Leafs have gotten out of Ilya Samsonov at his not best is huge.
Yes.
And series and game altering. But the gap between someone giving you a consistent 905 and one of the league's best goalies is a lot smaller than you think.
And I don't disagree with that because of how much scoring has gone up. Like we've seen the scoring curve go up and league averages go down. So you're probably getting more towards a median save percentage that you can probably find, just throughout the league. And if you can probably get somebody in the like top 10, like 10 to 15 range a lot easier than you probably could in the past.
And you know what? It's on the fucking general manager to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Just do it. I don't really care what it takes. Go do it. That's your job. People are asking. It's funny. Like you have this conversation with people and they're like, well, how would they do it? I don't know, man. But you know what I know? I'm not the one paid to do it. The second that I am, I'll try to figure out some strategies.
There's a lot of that with the no trade clauses on this team where
stop that
some
nonsense.
People think it's impossible that a player would ever waive a no trade clause, but it's something we see time and time again.
Every trade deadline,
every single time you need to trade a player, he ends up waiving.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fine.
Who are the last 2 goalies to win the Stanley Cup? As the starter.
Aiden Hill.
Aiden Hill last year.
Yeah. And in Colorado.
For $1,000.
It wasn't Francouz.
No, it was Kemper.
There you go.
Darcy Kemper.
Here's $1,000.
And he got millions because of it. And Washington has benefited ever since.
And
look at how great it's gone for them.
Neither of those goalies is currently the starting goalie for their team. Now, there are different situations there, obviously. But like Charlie Lindgren is straight up just better than Darcy Kemper. Like, if you last year at the beginning of the season, if you had to go, who is going to be in net for the team that ends up lifting the Stanley Cup above your head? Even if you thought Vegas was going to win the cup, you probably would have gone through 3 or 4 names before you got to Aiden Hill.
Yep.
Like, you play the right way and you get a goalie with the right mindset, they get hot, you can win.
But here's the problem. if I went into this series and I said, guys, I can see the future, and there are going to be 3 goalies that play in this series or 4 goalies that play in this series, but the one that plays the majority for one team has an 886 save percentage, you would say to me, well, that team's not going to win.
Is that what he has?
That's what he has in this series.
886.
Whereas Swayman has a 954. Part of that's because the Leafs can't score and are 1 for 14 on the power play. I had somebody complaining about the refs in my DMs last night. I'm like,
dude,
are you kidding? They have 14 power plays through 4 games. The refs are fine. Nothing wrong with the refs.
The drop dead moment for me was how bad the 4-on-3 was.
It was horrible.
Dude, that's a gift. That's a gift from hockey god.
And they
got a 4-on-3 in the playoffs.
Couldn't get his own entry.
Couldn't. Oh, you stink. You stink.
So
get off the ice.
We talked about Sammy, and this is the thing about hockey fans is like we are raised, especially if you played, to never ever criticize the goalie under any circumstances. That's your guy. Yeah, and I'm done with it.
No,
I'm done. The reality is, no shot on goal in the NHL is fair. No shot on goal in the NHL happens because things went well.
Right.
For the defending team.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be about 30 a game. Hockey is a game of mistakes. You mistake your way into good plays. Mm-hmm. The good plays are like 1 in 10, right? The plays that work. Because it's a disc, it's ice, and you're playing on knives.
You know how many...
It's a chaotic game. You need saves. Sammy, there's nothing that, unless JVR there with the 5-hole somehow flips it up into his jersey. I stopped it for Nat this morning. I'm like, where in this could he have stopped it?
Dude,
where could you have stopped
where
it?
JVR puts the puck. That's where he puts the puck.
And if you read a scouting report on him, that's where he puts the puck.
Check the game notes. I know things happen fast. The best goalies in the world know. They know. Patrick Waugh, if you read about him in the playoffs, I think it was Patrick Waugh, used to talk about, when a certain player was coming up against me, I knew what he was going to do. I would research his tendencies and I would know them. Think of the greatest players at what they do. Like, think of, again, this documentary is so transformative in sports talk, but The Last Dance with Dennis Rodman. Looking at footage and, I know if this guy does this, the ball is going to bounce here or it's more likely to bounce into this area. Like, put some effort into your craft. Like, oh, we're trying out there on the ice. What are you doing off? Any dope who watched the Leafs while JVR was there knew where he was putting that puck. That's where he puts it.
When this play happened last night, Adam, do you remember what I told you about how it unfolded?
Which play?
The JVR goal.
Well, it was obviously the Ryan Reeves he put it to the middle of the ice in his own zone when he should have flipped it up the board.
He did not put it to the middle of the ice. It bounced off the Bruins' skate and it went to the middle of the ice because Ryan Reeves isn't fast enough to get to the puck.
Sorry.
The two things, I think Sammy started playing street hockey goalie. When the puck's in the middle of the ice and JVR's got there, like, you guys are correct in that. He's gonna go 5-hole, but Sammy's just standing there straight up, just trying to block this puck. It's ridiculous.
Now, I don't remember who pointed this out, but you see TJ Brody in the corner there. Mm-hmm. He can't get to where he needs to get in JVR's way because he's literally being held there by the Bruins player.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's how it's
Yarn
played.
Croak with Gudis. Game 5 against the Panthers. Wasn't called. I don't remember anyone apologizing for it. There was no press release. Yeah, we missed one. It's not a league, and the Leafs don't play like it.
Yeah, as you said, like, every goal that's scored in the playoffs is mainly because of a defensive breakdown. Some sort of errors made, and those things turn into mistakes, and they turn into goals because Stanley Cup playoff hockey is so tight. And in this instance, it's Ryan Reeves has the puck up against the boards, and he's trying to race to get it, and he can't get there fast enough because he's not capable of performing at the speed of most NHL players. His stick is right there on the puck, and Lohrey's able to get his stick there and beat him to it and bounce the puck to the center of the zone, which then JVR turns around and gets it. and is right in front of Sammy.
I do got to say, where the hell is Edmondson?
And I also
Where
hold
is he
on.
going?
Sammy, who told you? Was it Drew that told you that Sammy didn't have enough time to square up?
No.
Not on that goal.
No, I think no. You know what it was?
Sammy had enough time.
It's just sometimes I go squirrely on the stream,
Uh-huh.
and he's in my ear. He's like, I think you're being a little hard on him, you know. But and sometimes I go, yeah, you're right, and other times I go, no, screw you.
It's an instance where you got your fourth line out and you have someone who's just not quick enough, and the opposing player beats him to a puck battle, and he tips the puck, and it just happens to bounce right in front of the net, and JVR happens to be right there. And he turns around and Sammy's standing straight up and your goaltender can't get you a save. And he goes 5-hole and it looks just awful on every single player on the ice.
I didn't realize it until you just brought it up, but like Edmondson's got to read better there.
Edmondson's going to where the puck should be going. Like he's trying to chase to where Reeves
not his fault.
Yeah,
is trying to pitch it out. And I don't
see the
disagree at all.
situation going badly though.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all in that he should have been like a little further back. But because Reeves is trying to chip it up there.
I mean,
to Edmondson,
a Reeves pass up to Nyes there, who's the rushing player, would be nice. I mean, a Reeves, anything other than what he did would have been nice.
Other than you lost the battle there, and it gets chipped by Lowry. Like it's not good, and Edmondson overskates it. Like you're totally right. The puck goes right by his backside, and it goes right to JVR. Like he overskated that completely, and this is what happens with the Leafs. They have 5 different errors that occur all at once, and it leads to a goal. You can blame like 4 different guys on this single play, and that's why Boston was able to score here. And this like every single play, like we'll focus on like one guy made a mistake there, like on a couple ones we've done so far in the playoffs. But like if you just isolate on each player, a lot of guys are out of position and a lot of guys made mistakes, and then Boston's just being able to capitalize.
It's the least cohesive I've ever seen them.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's a mess.
It's terrible, and
mess.
it goes back to coaching and all that stuff.
So let's
and then
move-
it goes back to your goalie not being able to make a save like that.
Hockey's greatest duos are back at Tim Hortons right now, and this is the best part right here. What Steve is doing, that feeling of opening the cellophane package.
I did okay.
And getting the cards.
I did okay.
You did good, and I remember the excitement as a kid when I was opening mine up. Okay, everybody gets a card. Steve, start with yours.
Ooh, this is a very special insert card. Family Foundations, Racine Family, Eric Stahl and Jordan Stahl.
Hey.
Are they related?
They are.
No way.
I think they're. Is it cousins?
Must be.
Is it? Yeah, it's probably cousins.
I have Lucas Reichel and Taylor Radish. I've already put them in the book. They flip over. See, that's beauty because you get the cards on both sides now.
Oh, that's
because
good.
They're two-sided. And that's the teammates one. What
And
is it actually called?
What's that?
The teammates ones. They have a name for the cards. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, well, there you go. It just says teammates on my script.
Oh, yeah, I nailed it.
It's
Teammates
Tim's greatest
card.
Good
duo.
job.
That's what it's called.
I also have another teammates card, Shane Pinto and Josh Norris, who are having a great time golfing right now. I'm thrilled for them. 2 hockey icons on every card, rivals, teammates, family, and more connected like never before. New Tim's greatest hockey duos trading cards. You can get them right now at Tim Hortons. So let's move to the incident on the bench. Marner, Matthews, Nylander. And
God bless William Nylander.
I say incident on the bench because it I guess it's an incident, but Jesse, I'm just sending you the clip over here. So because Tic-Tac-Toe Mar, as he does, has everything.
Yeah. Now, the Leafs are not the first team to yell at each other.
Oh, no.
Like,
Okay.
Like we mentioned.
So here's
Rantanen and Georgiev. Nathan McKinnon was screaming at his coach and fell off his seat. Do you know how viral that would go in the city? He fell backward. Do you even know the clip I'm talking about? He was screaming at Jared Bednar and screamed himself so hard that he fell off of the bench. And I think it was Gabriel Landeskog had to pick him up.
Well, there you
And
go.
then they won the cup.
And we've seen the clip of Kessel and Malkin yelling at each other and whatever. Yelling at each other is not the issue here. But I want to go through this very scrub through it because we can't play it.
Yeah, I think this is the screen cap.
So you got
Yeah.
got Matthews, who has just been, by the way, spoken to by Keefe. Matthews looking at Marner with his hands outstretched. And then, of course, a little bit like right after this, William Nylander chirps into, and the lip reading, although we can't confirm it, is this isn't, or stop crying, bro. This isn't
Stop
effing Junior.
fucking crying, bro. This isn't Junior.
Right. And then, and Jesse,
Which is objectively funny.
it's funny. Now let's
Very, very funny. And like, I just feel like it validates every uncle or cousin who's ever watched the Leafs and said the exact same thing.
Now, people today are saying things like, "Oh, that's hilarious that Nylander would say that after he was sitting with migraines." You guys actually believe that it's a migraine?
Oh, fuck off.
You guys are. How old are you? You think it's migraines? You think that migraines? Come on, guys.
What?
It's not migraines. I don't believe the migraine thing for a second. I think that's a cover
why
for
not?
something else. Why would I? I'm not taking this team at its word. Absolutely not.
Even if it is migraine.
Well, and I can
Right.
believe.
No, but
Learn something about friggin' migraines.
Yeah.
migraines can keep you out.
Sure,
Yes.
but I don't think it is. I don't believe it.
Why?
Because I think there are other head injuries that teams would prefer not to report on. That's what I think. That's what I believe. I mean, this is a league that would prefer never to mention the word concussion.
I think you're barking up the wrong tree with that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
if it
know.
is I just don't believe it. I just don't.
I
Straight up.
believe that it is. I believe
And if it is migraines, I still don't have a problem with it.
if it's a concussion or if it's migraines, both of those things can easily put
I
you out
don't
of
think
the
it
lineup.
matters.
Well, and so this is my point, is what I'm getting to, is people are like, oh, that's rich coming from Nylander. Can you scrub forward, please, Maddie? Bring it back up on the screen. So scrub forward a bit here. Okay, we got Willie yelling, and then watch Marner here. Watch Marner here. Frustrated, gloves come off, slams him down, surprises the trainer behind him. Now wait for Marner to square up with the camera again here. Jesse, keep going. What's on his jersey? It's hidden by the stick there, but what's on his jersey?
A letter,
What's the letter?
A,
What's A stand for?
effort,
No. What's A stand for? Give me the real answer.
Apple.
Arner,
Apple, the
Guys,
app of Black Eyed
Fuck.
Peas.
Give me the fucking answer, you guys.
assistant captain,
Thank you.
or alternate
Thank
captain.
you.
Depends who you ask.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are wearing an assistant captain letter for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I understand, he and Matthews are both assistants, and they trade it back and forth, and isn't that nice? Isn't sharing nice? And here's the great thing about this is right after this, that trainer is going to have to bend over and pick those gloves up and give them back to Marner because he's going to go back on the ice. That kind of body language is not good leadership. And I know we're human beings, and I know that we all crack, and we all have, and this is what this is, miniature blowups. We do have them. We have them with the people that we love the most. Willie said after the game, I love these guys. We're trying to get on the same page. Marner said, we're men. We're trying to get on the same page with the play. I don't doubt that that's what they're talking about. But I think that this is a microcosm of the issue. These guys are so frustrated that they don't even know what to do. And when you have a captain that leads, I mean, he leads by example, but he doesn't lead with passion.
He leads through silence.
Hey, he just does, like, he's not the captain anymore. And you've got
I'm pretty over that.
pretty over that too. I've been over that for a year and a half.
I'm not over him being a Leaf. Like, you
No,
know,
I think he's a good Leaf.
what is it? 1 year left in the deal.
Yeah.
He's
not the
really
captain anymore.
Not a great deal.
Austin's the captain, guys. Austin
Yeah.
is the captain. I understand Mitch being frustrated. That's okay. I think that in these instances, and again, he came out shot out of a cannon in the third period. I will never take that away. This is not a good look.
It's already
Body language matters.
like
And
This
I don't
is-
mind you guys yelling at each other, but throwing your gloves down and then having the guy behind you pick him up and hand him back to you so you can go. That is not, you know what I'm saying?
So-
I know it's not
okay.
everything.
I want to say this. The Leafs were down 3-0 to the Florida Panthers last year. 3-0 in the series. And then Marner has his probably best game in the playoffs.
He's amazing.
Really good to win game 4. And now the Leafs are down 3-1. And someone from within NHL circles was like, see to us. See?
Yep.
And I'm like, you are such a loser. You are such a dorky loser. You're still down 3-1. That came when you were already down 3-0. You are a dork. Not Mitch. This wasn't Mitch. I don't have his number. What a loser. And and now this one. Oh, he shot out of a cannon. It's too little too late.
This is the problem.
And it always is.
You can't get to this point and then be like, all right, I'm going to turn it on. Don't get to that point.
And it goes back to Morgan Riley pushing back on the reporters who were like, yeah, so you had a slow start. And he's like, no, I don't agree. We didn't have a slow start. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No,
Don't lie to me. Yes, you
good.
Yes, you did.
No, he's been like this all year. I'm over it.
And I'm talking about Morgan Riley here, who I think is a good leader. But I just was like, what are you talking about, Morgan? I know, Mitch might be injured and Austin might be sick or whatever. Guys, okay, fine. The results have still not been there, though. Did they win? The answer is yes or no.
Were they close to winning?
No.
You know what I mean?
Like the problem now, and this is difficult to hear and difficult to face, is that for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the window to win this in the Cup with the core four was 2020, 2021, and 2022. Those were the years. You can all see it with Tavares. He's trying his best.
Yeah.
He's not a passionate leader. I said to Jesse in game 3, I'm like, I wish he showed an ounce of emotion ever. But Jesse said it right. It's not in his DNA. It's unfair to expect that. I need a team with an extra gear.
Marchand is like a camp counselor out there.
Yeah.
Like it's
so they were saying
it's
awesome.
Who said
it's
that
unreal.
Marchand's such a killer.
They said that he sat with the rookies at the start of the year and said this is what it means to be a Boston Bruin.
I completely believe that.
And the question is, what could any of the Leafs leaders say about what it is to be a Leaf? What could they say and have people take them seriously? I'll tell you. Listen, his game's got limitations, but Max Domi is built to be a Leaf. William Nylander is built to be a Leaf. Austin Matthews, as far as I'm concerned, is built to be the best Leaf ever.
Do you know
these
how
guys are
badly I've wanted someone from the core to say something along the lines of "Stop fucking crying, bro." William Nylander, like lifetime extension, please.
He already got it.
He got it. Good.
He's
Great.
good.
Like that is exactly the type of attitude
and
that this team needs. And he's consistently one of their better playoff performers.
John's skills have diminished.
Yeah.
Austin is extremely sick. Willie's had whatever Willie's had. Probably okay, fine. He's had migraines.
Austin looks like a character from Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if when this series is over, they're like, oh yeah, he lost 10 pounds.
If you're going to sit here though and try to give me an excuse for how Mitch has played, I always say this. I have to say this. I love the player. The game's been bad.
Yeah.
It's been bad. And again, it's been bad for 4 games now.
He's capable of truly incredible things. I think he has, 2 points? And they're both absolute highlight reels.
Crazy.
The pass to Nyes, ridiculous. So few people can pull that off. He pulled it off. The goal that he scored last night, ridiculous.
Great goal.
So few people can pull that off, and he pulled it off. But the Paul Bissonnette rant on TNT, where he had all the clips that unfortunately we can't show you, but I'm sure you've seen the clips by now. Nailed it. That's it. Here he is in front of the net, not even bending his knees, and he gets knocked to the ice and he's looking at the ref. Is this your first playoff game? Stop fucking crying, bro. Like, Willie nailed it. And was that the play that he was talking about? I think it was.
No, there's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
The clip of Willie saying that is just an isolated shot of his face.
But dude, like, and like Marchand broke his stick on the power play. Like, is that a penalty? Yeah. Is it going to be called in a playoff game?
Who knows?
Where the other team, like, are they going to give you a full 2 minute? Stop fucking crying, bro.
Right.
Win a hockey game. Oh yeah, I'm going to post up in front of the net. That's a joke.
For
they
me,
bat him away like a friggin' plastic shopping bag.
I'm not even concerned. Like, I guess I'm like, last night was awful and all this stuff is awful, but I'm so past Mitch Marner's era as a Toronto Maple Leaf that I'm just kind of sitting here and I'm waiting for when it eventually ends, and unless the miracle comeback can happen,
he is
which
too, to be honest,
it's not over yet. They got to lose 4 games, but if they do lose 4 games, I'm on the like, okay, so Mitch isn't going to be a part of this because we've all seen it doesn't work with Mitch Marner a part of this core and the way this team plays in the playoffs. It's never going to work. work. We know that. So it's like, okay, how do we move forward here? We
Well,
move
and
that
this is-
piece. That's the important piece you got to move. John Tavares, he's going to be stuck here for one more season. Like, I don't think there's an avenue to move that. And then does he take the extension that's like, $5 million for your third line center, the second line center, if that's still how you
No, he
wanna
can't
play
be the
him.
second line
If he
center
wants to
anymore.
be on the wing, that's okay. If he's going to take 4.5, that's cool. That's how you're moving forward. And I'm just ready to do the Mitch conversation about like how much can you take for the cap space back and the players you need back, because that's we're at that point.
No, I'm
There's
not-
no other point you can be at with Mitch's career as
Actually,
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Actually, I'm reading the internet today, and apparently you can, because there are people out there going, well, he's got a no move, and there's no way he'd
Maybe you should
he'd
be
waive
reading
it.
those people.
Guys, I think you're wrong. I think, and no, people who are legitimately, I have tons of respect for, are saying this. And I have to say that, again, I ask you, stop tweeting me that he has a no move clause. I fucking know, guys.
Well, yeah,
and guess what? Guess what? Anybody with a no move clause can move if they want to. If they want to. Kyle Dubas sat up there last season.
Yeah.
There was going to be a move.
Oh, yeah,
There was going to be a big move.
100%
Now it's just going to. Now we just delayed it a year.
Now, Brian Burke, in Burke's Law, talked about the Caberlet trade. And it's actually really good insight into what could potentially happen here. Because Caberlet, I believe, had a full no trade or full, I don't know if no moves were a thing back then. He could dictate where he could go. It was a full no trade. And Berkey's like, I'm going to trade you. And Caberlet's agent calls him and he's like, what the hell? We have a full no trade clause. No, you can't. And also, like, that's bullshit. Like, we have a no trade clause and you're trying to trade him. That's like bad faith. And Berkey's like, I didn't sign it. I'm not the one who signed it. It was the previous guy. I believe it was John Ferguson Jr. I didn't sign it. So Darren Ferris is going to call up Brad Treliving and go, Brad, that's bullshit. And Brad's going to go, I didn't sign it. I'm not the one who signed it. And they go, well, he's just going to refuse to go. And Brian Burke goes, I am going to sit Thomas Caberlet in the press box. Like, they were bad anyway. They were
What does it
tanking
matter?
anyway. I mean, tanking. Like, they weren't going to make the playoffs. We're just going to sit him until you give us a list of teams. Now, Caberlet ended up, I think Burke asked for a list of 10 teams. I can't remember. And Caberlet's agent went, here is a list of the Boston Bruins. Now, he ended up going to Boston Bruins. And when you consider that context, what the Leafs ended up getting in return.
Pretty good.
Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. That's what's going to happen here.
And the idea that you can't win a Mitch Marner trade, quote, win the trade is
stop it.
I don't believe that, because you win the trade by not having him on the team.
It's not about winning the trade.
It's about having the
you
money.
are successful in this trade just by moving the guy out, bringing in whatever the pieces you get back, which will be reasonable. Nobody ever trades a star player for a 7th round draft pick. That's not like in the minds of the people who think that you can't trade him. Like, that's like, you're going to do that. No, you'll get decent pieces back. Plus you get the freedom of not having him on the team and not playing in the playoffs like this.
It's also something that I feel like he should kind of want.
I think he wants it.
What? Because, like, dude,
I think everything, the throw in your gloves is evidence enough that he needs to move on.
well, he's a star player. He's an extraordinarily talented player. And no Leaf fan alive would be surprised if he went somewhere and won a Stanley Cup.
No, it's going to be fine.
But this, whatever this is, this mix doesn't work. And you just extended Willie. You just extended Austin.
John's on the
Tavares,
last year, and you can't move him unless you're retaining half.
He's less appealing.
and he doesn't want to leave. He's not going to leave.
It's the same conversation we had with Willie, where you're going to get the most value for him, but he ended up having a really good first half, and then you sign him or whatever. Right now, the answer is very obviously Mitch.
Eichel and Marner are going to be a nice little tandem,
Dude,
in Vegas.
wherever-
and that's going to be fine.
I'm going to be sick. I am going to be sick.
It's going to be fine, because you have to realize, even if Eichel and Marner are playing great in Vegas and they win a Stanley Cup, they win their 3rd straight Stanley Cup.
It would
in
never have
Vegas.
happened here.
That's exactly it. If he stayed here, it would have just been another 1st round exit. So you can't just look back and say, oh, if he had stuck around, look what he could have done in Toronto. No, that was never going to happen, and it's not ever.
And by the way, there'll be a lot of commentary going, see, I told you shouldn't trade Mitch Marner. believe me when I tell you that those people are going to be full of shit. Believe me when I tell you. Mitch Marner is going to go on. If he leaves Toronto at the end of this offseason, like we're speculating about, okay, and the Leafs go a different direction and he goes out and has a banger playoff next year, I actually have no doubt that he will. I have no doubt that this player is capable. That's what makes it so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
The mix doesn't work. It's not Mitch. It's the mix. It's the guys that they have.
I don't think he's playing well either.
I don't think
but
he's
it
playing
is the mix.
It's the mix.
It would have never happened here. You can't use that revisionist history to say, "Oh, he would have won the Stanley Cup here."
Jesse,
Wouldn't have happened here.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the articles on this. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for people going, Mitch Marner's looking real good in Utah, and how the Leafs missed the boat. Dude, eat shit. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. You guys, it's funny because these guys, they did the same thing with Zach Hyman. Oh, how did the Leafs miss out on Zach Hyman? Guys, when Zach Hyman signed that contract, everybody was like, that's a lot of money for Zach Hyman.
Not a person on the face of the planet thought he was going to score, what was it, 56
Nobody
goals?
thought he'd score over 25.
I love that hockey player.
And I loved him here.
I was like early on, hey, he should be on the power play.
Well, no,
I remember the first time I suggested it, people were like, you're fucking stupid.
No, you were early on him because you interviewed Dubas
And Keefe in 2016
about him on the Marlies when nobody was paying attention to him.
No one was paying attention to him. I said this before, I'll say this again. I interviewed Dubas and Keefe separately, and I go, who is the most underrated forward on this team, and who is the most underrated defenseman on this team? Most underrated defenseman, they said, was Justin Hall, and
they were wrong.
No, they were dead right. That dude was an ECHL call-up who wasn't even on an NHL deal at the time. And, you know, even though he hasn't been remarkable,
he was an NHL player.
He was the most underrated player on that team.
Yeah.
He was. I know you're shaking your head. It was 100% right at the time. Forward, they said Zach Hyman. And I went, like he was 7th or 8th in scoring on the team. They had really attractive players like William Nylander was there, and Connor Brown, and Nikita Soshnikov, and I think they might have had Kasperi Kapanen by then, and X and Y and Z. And you had to go down the list to get to Zach Hyman. And he got called up with the old logo.
Yeah, like when Nylander was wearing 39 or 62.
At the end of the 15-16 season. And I think he got 4 goals and in like 16 games or something like that. And we all went, that was okay. I like that. And then camp the next year, he's on a line with Nylander and Matthews, and we're like, let's see how that goes. And it's magic from start to finish that season. And even then, the narrative around him was, this guy can't hit the broadside of a barn. He has the worst shooting luck in the world, but he worked on it and he worked on it and he worked on it, and they put him on the power play and he started to score and he blew his knee. And even his biggest supporters, thank you, I think thought his maximum was probably what he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and look at the level he got.
As I had to explain to somebody,
and this year's nuts.
I had to explain to somebody on Twitter the other day because they thought that I said that a couple of weeks ago, what I just said to you now, and they were like, oh, well, you didn't believe in him or whatever. And I'm like, if anybody thought that Zach Hyman was going to score 50 goals, then his contract would be worth $2 to $3 million more per year than it is currently.
At least.
Nobody believed that. Stop it.
I haven't read one of
my
those
point
receipts.
is, hang on, my point is,
Okay.
when Mitch Marner goes elsewhere, because he seems the most likely, and he does a great job, I will not be surprised.
No.
It's the mix. It isn't the Mitch. Jesse, please.
If the Leafs go out in 5, does Brendan Shanahan have a job come June?
Yes, with the NHL.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
I actually have something on this because, earlier this season I said it, and I then yesterday. So what I said earlier this season was, if they don't get past the first round, this guy's done, and that's what I've heard.
Yes,
and that's not just me making it up. Yesterday I sat in the Boston Pizza and I said, I don't know, and I think it was because, remember at the end of the show I was like, because it was one of the press conference questions. And then after last night's game, I was like, no, I'm going to believe what I heard. And here's what I think's going on. I think that Keith Pelly, even though he officially started at the beginning of April, already has candidates in mind. That's what I think. I have no sources on that,
1,000,000%.
but I have heard that this is it.
Adam,
And
you
if
get a
there's
job.
if there's no deep run in the playoffs this year, and this is people that would know, that the patience for this is up. Because you got to remember, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment is built to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raptors stink right now.
Stink!
They're terrible. So they need the Leafs to carry the weight of the Argos, who lose money every year,
Jay's angry.
TFC, who lose money every year, Marlies, who lose money every year. And do it in a shitty economy.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I am telling you right now, if Keith Pelly has not already interviewed 5 people, I'd be shocked.
Adam, like when you
Shocked.
apply for a job, what do you do? You explain how you would do a good job.
Yeah, you explain your plans.
Yeah.
Like there is like before he walked in the door, he had a list of candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what it is. He as soon as he knew he was getting this job, he would have started talking to people. And you say to them in these interviews, because this is how it works at that level. Listen, if they go on a deep run, I don't have the political will within the organization to remove this person. But if they don't, I will. And we're going to have to make a change. And I think they would be well within their rights to do that. Like, we blame the players for this. We blame the coaching staff for that. Who put them all together? Because we know Dubas played a part in that. We know Treliving played a part in that, and the staffs that they employ.
Shanny's been here since 2013.
And we know
Yep.
Shanny nixes trades. So he's the one in control.
He's been here since the beginning of the podcast.
And this is what kills me about everybody like getting mad at the guys Treliving signed this year and being like, there are people who are still like, man, like Dubas never would have. You know who's still there?
What, gotten past the second round?
No. You know who's still there in Leafs management?
Who?
Everybody that Kyle Dubas hired.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Who was
The
Cam?
pro scouts, the assistant general managers, they are all still there. Treliving is, and you know who else is? So Treliving's the new guy. You know who else is still there? The guy that nixes the trades.
Yep.
The guy that says yay or nay.
Did they even
I'll take
fire,
it to the board.
Did they even fire a member of the coaching staff? Like I know Carberry left for a head coaching job.
Yeah, which made sense.
Of course it did. It's an upgrade.
I don't
think anyone got canned.
They moved Malhotra.
Yeah.
I believe he's still there.
He's still there.
And then hired Guy Boucher and Dean Chen.
Chenoweth.
No, Dean Chenoweth, I'm pretty
was
sure was
still there.
already there.
Yeah.
So they
And
rearranged deck
Mike
chairs.
Van Ryan they brought in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's the defensive coordinator. Like I told you last episode with the Joe Bowen rant, there are 5 coaches. They have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, power play, and PK specialists.
All right. I think at the end of the day, the one guy who is the final decision maker is Brendan Shanahan. And since 2013, we're running up on 11 years of this nonsense. If you aren't successful on the ice, and I get MLSE has made a lot of money and the shareholders are happy and the board is happy with how much money and that they've generated over the last 11 years. But if push comes to shove, they need to be more successful on the ice. And he is the final decision maker when it comes to everything. And if that's the common denominator, I think you got to move on. And it's good timing for them that they have a new big time president of the whole thing, that it can come in there and move shake some heads.
Well, the word is that obviously Dubas is holding that GM spot in Pittsburgh for Brandon Pridham when his deal's up at the end of the season. I wonder if the Leafs want to retain that guy. You mentioned it yesterday. Do they move Treliving up?
I think Treliving could become the president and they promote Pridham. I mean, a really interesting one. You know who else is assistant GM? Haley Wickenheiser.
That's an interesting one.
It'd be a really interesting one, although I haven't even heard her.
Here's what I think the Leafs need to do.
Yeah.
The Leafs they obviously need to continue making a lot of business sense. You can't discount the fact that over the last 8 years, they've scored second or third most points in the NHL. That's great, right? 8-year playoff streak. Unheard of in Toronto. Like crazy. It's great. You need somebody who can take care of business a little bit on the business side, although you have a great structure in there already. MLS, he's very good at making money. Mm-hmm. You need a different set of eyeballs. You cannot promote from within this organization. You can't. And it comes from the president level. And Treliving I would count as somewhat of a separate set of eyeballs. I still think he's not. It's not the echo chamber that Dubas and Shanahan had, because I think it became those guys hired so many people that said yes to them that I don't think they ever had a real challenging viewpoint that ever had a shot in hell of changing their minds. I look at a guy like an Eric Tulsky in Carolina, who I've been a fan of forever, who deserves to be a general manager, who is known as Don Waddell's right-hand man, and go, why not him? Why not him? If Pridham wants to go to Pittsburgh, which I don't know that he does, why not the guy that's built the Carolina Hurricanes?
I have a strange name for president.
And I'm talking about GM here, but yes,
No, I
president.
know.
What do you got for president?
What's Ken Dryden doing? Just selling books?
I don't think Ken Dryden wants any piece of this.
Well, I'm trying. Because one thing you mentioned yesterday was apparently the Leafs alumni were upset that it wasn't a Leafs alumni.
That's right. Yes.
Dude, what Leafs alumni has even been remotely groomed for some sort of a front office job?
And I think that's what the MLSE board would tell you is who?
Like, not Doug Gilmour. Like, he sort of
Ran the
tried
Frontenacs for a while, but
yeah, and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Wendell Clark doesn't do any of that. Anderchuk.
they don't
doesn't do
have
any
what
of that. Like,
Sakic or Yzerman or Shanny or any of these guys have.
No, they
don't have the experience.
I think that's a ridiculous assertion based on like nobody has a resume that they could hold that position. That's
I think
crazy.
yeah, that's them just being tribal.
Yeah, and with the speculation that some of the assistant GMs might need to move on or be promoted or move somewhere else, the one guy in that front office that Brad Treliving did bring in is Shane Doan. And that's somebody who isn't in an assistant general manager role. He's the special advisor role.
Right.
Because of how the Maple Leafs have stacked their front office. Maddie, if you want to bring this up, they have the 5 assistant GMs that they have across the front office. It's Brandon Pridham, it's Derek Clancy, it's Haley Wickenheiser, Daryl Metcalf, and Ryan Hardy. And if we look at all 5 of those guys, Adam, you nailed it. They're all Dubas people. Like Ryan Hardy's from the Chicago Steel.
Clancy's a Treliving guy.
He's brand new. Okay, so we have Derek Clancy, we have Shane Doan in there, who are the Treliving people, and I think Brad Treliving is finally at some point going to have the freedom to build the front office and coaching staff that he wants, because all of these guys are just hand-me-downs from the Dubas era. So who knows who's going to get moved out and moved up.
You also and I'm sorry, Steve, give me one sec. Sheldon Keefe, and I forget who pointed this out to you, Jesse, but you said it last night. I was like, no, actually, you're right. Sheldon Keefe's a rookie head coach. This is his first National Hockey League gig. So he's a rookie head coach. This is his first job. Okay? When the Islanders were searching for a coach, they did some research into coaching, and they found that the coaches that saw the most success were coaches that had already been fired once. It's their second go-around. This is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't want to hear rookie GM, rookie coach. Not interested. I want somebody with experience who can handle this. And okay, I'll give the Raptors credit. If Treliving moves up and he's the front-facing like Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster,
sure,
because Bobby was a rookie GM.
I'm not in an appetite for that anymore.
That's going real shitty, by the way.
It is not going
I know they want a championship. That's going like ass.
I don't want Pridham to be the general manager. Like I would Brad Treliving won. I think if he's going to stick in this role and deserves the run to do everything he needs to. But if you're going to promote Brad Treliving, bring in somebody with experience. I'm like, we did that with Sheldon Keefe. We've done that with Kyle Dubas. Let's not go down that road again. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again.
I'm trying to think of Leafs alumni that could come in. Like I know we're not going that route. But I'm trying. I'm like, okay, what's out there?
Yeah.
Ron Francis in Seattle was a Leaf for 5 seconds, so I don't even think he counts. The only guy who was a Leaf for any period of time I can think of who's like in an NHL front office, he was a pro scout in LA for a number of years, then a pro scout with the Philadelphia Flyers. Last year he was the director of player personnel. This year he's the assistant GM of the Philadelphia Flyers. Is Alan McCauley. There's no one else.
Yeah, no, I think you got to get past the former Leaf thing.
Oh, I'm past it.
Yeah, I think
I didn't think about it at all until you said it.
I know. I think the alumni need to get past it. I think you gotta look at this there needs to be.
I know Brian Burke's putting around the GTA.
There needs to there needs to be some yelling matches. There needs to be some difference of opinion in that head office, where one person comes from one side, one person comes from another, third person brings a third view, and they have to come to a consensus by just fighting it out. Yep. Because what it's been so far, it's been so unanimous that there hasn't been any room for, well, what if we're wrong? It's been so trust the process that they've never even considered that the process could be flawed.
Well, counter to that, there's a famous conversation that Eric Engels talked about. Supposedly, there was a front office conversation, and someone kept bringing up Joel Edmondson. Let's go out and get Joel Edmondson.
In Montreal?
Yes. And before he went to Montreal, I think. And I think he was with the Carolina Hurricanes. And they said, someone in the Leafs front office said, stop bringing up Joel Edmondson. We don't want him. Before Joel Edmondson quickly and promptly
destroyed the Leafs,
fed the Leafs their own ass. Now he's a Leaf.
Because Mike Van Ryan, who was his coach in St. Louis, advocated for him.
Well, maybe it's a sign that things have changed a little bit, at least in terms of evaluation. The way they played in the winter, it didn't seem like things would be this painful. But, maybe we should have prepared for this when Brad Treliving came in 5 weeks before the draft, and he's like, I just got here, so let me evaluate everything. He's had a year now, and he's watched this completely fall apart. Now we see how it goes.
Yep, I guess we do. Now, do we want to do a press conference, or should we wrap it up there?
We can definitely do a press conference, but before we get to the press conference, Steve Dangle, the other NHL general manager who played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, can you name him?
GM.
Current NHL general managers who played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The list starts and ends with 2. One you have already named.
Ron Francis.
The other one you have not named. Who is that individual?
Bruce Boudreau's not there.
And not a GM.
GM.
Oh, no, there's 2. There's a total of 3. There's 3 guys who are currently general managers.
Now, not AGMs. They're GMs.
We're just talking strictly general managers. There are currently 3 general managers who have played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. One is Ron Francis, and you need to name the other 2.
It must have been ages ago.
Well,
but like
Jim Rutherford?
I'm talking about like
the president.
before I was born ages ago.
Jim Rutherford's the president, so it can't be him.
Oh, did
Rutherford play for the Leafs?
No.
That's not the question. General managers. Yeah.
Jesse, I have no idea.
Really?
Oh, Steve Staios.
Steve Staios is not one.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't play for
he
the
was a Canuck, Thrasher, Oiler, Flame, Islander. Kyle Dubas is not one either.
Not Craig Conroy. I don't know, man.
You don't want to take a guess? Just give me 2 names.
I mean, are you going to tell me Doug Armstrong?
No, Doug Armstrong did not play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just give me 2 names. Just submit 2 names.
Who's the GM in Columbus now? Is Yarmo still there?
No,
he got fired.
He got fired.
I don't know who.
John Davidson is the interim.
No, it's not him.
I think John Davidson was a Leaf.
Is that your one you're submitting?
Sure.
Okay. What's your other one?
Fuck.
Give me a GM.
I don't know. Yeah, JD probably was. Now that I think of it.
I know. Fitzgerald.
Tom Fitzgerald.
Or what names are you submitting to?
Tom Fitzgerald, I'm submitting 100%.
Okay, you're submitting Tom Fitzgerald. Who's the other name you're submitting?
Let's say John Davidson.
I'm going to say John Davidson.
You have nailed one. Tom Fitzgerald did play for the Toronto Maple Leafs in 02-03 and 03-04. 2 full seasons, 66 games and 69 games. Tom Fitzgerald was a Toronto Maple Leaf. The other GM, the 97-98 season, they played 5 games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kevin Adams.
Oh, yeah. And he played in the playoffs.
And then in 99, 2000, he played 52 games after spending 2 years with the St. John's Maple Leafs in the AHL.
Dude, that was my first
Yep.
NHL that I owned, and it was on PC, and he was on the Leafs. I'm so upset.
The 2000s Leafs team, he played 12 playoff games.
Yeah, he did.
I'm so mad at myself.
I remember that run.
He scored a playoff goal.
I'm so mad at myself.
Maple Leafs.
Yep.
Kevin Adams did.
Yep.
I'm so mad. How did I get Tom Fitzgerald, not Kevin Adams?
How did you get Tom Fitzgerald?
I don't know.
Kevin Adams, former Toronto Maple
dumb
Leafs, future
guy.
general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And both guys, GMs of non-playoff teams.
Kevin Adams played a very long time. Not that long, but from 97 to 2008. He ran a 2000. That's fairly recently.
He's not that old, man.
He had a good career.
Yeah, good little career. across the NHL, a whole bunch of teams. Bounced around a lot, but
500 NHL
good little
games.
stint with the Leafs.
Yeah.
Damn. So, not a lot of options.
No, not great. Let's do the press conference.
The presser.
Forgot about Kevin Adams. I'm mad about that too.
I'm mad.
The Steve Dangle Press
That
Conference.
ruined my day. Go ahead, ask your stupid questions.
Do you guys want to touch on any of the other of the series?
No, just to piss everyone off.
I do want to say that I really loved being at Boston Pizza last night with everybody, and that was fun. I loved watching everybody's reaction to the Carolina Islanders game going to overtime, and then the almost meltdown of the Tampa Bay Lightning after such a great start. Because it did look like, oh my God, it was 4-1.
Yep.
And here they come.
Yep.
Great games.
Dallas back alive.
A lot. Jesse stayed up till 2:30 watching that game.
Yeah, it was a great game. Dallas outplayed the Vegas Golden Knights for 4 periods, really, in that game, and they were rewarded with a barely winning in overtime because Wyatt Johnston went off and scored a goal, his second of the game. It's unbelievable the level of play that Logan Thompson has just reached in this game here, and Dallas this is their best effort, and they dominated, and they still barely won. It's
so frustrating.
It's so frustrating if you're a Stars fan, but 2-1.
Yeah.
You never know. You're back in the series.
Yep.
I said this yesterday. Some Rangers fans are like, why don't you guys talk about the Rangers more? And the series it's just not that interesting. We thought the Rangers would kick the Capitals' ass, and they are. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of drama there.
The funniest quote I've seen is Matt Rempe avoiding social media and playing Halo and losing a bunch to Chris Kreider.
Yeah, that's really funny. And Rempe, by the way, I saw that hit against Trevor Van Riemsdyk in real time. I'm like, that's not a bad hit. Then they show the angle from the corner. Someone has to have a conversation with Rempe. And they'd just be like, hey, you would get suspended and called for penalties so much less if you just stopped being 6'7" and jumping.
Yeah.
Dude, he jumps into everything. Just stop leaving your feet. Stop leaving your feet. I didn't really think that hit was that late.
No.
Stop leaving your feet.
Stay on your feet.
He jumps he's trying to hit. He prepares to hit Shaq every time. Stop. You keep hitting guys in the head, dude.
Yep.
Stop jumping.
Yep.
Matt Rempe has, what was it?
A playoff goal.
19 career games. He's 16-2-1 in those games.
Wow.
The idea that having a big guy isn't effective in the NHL anymore, I think is a misnomer.
Yeah, I think so.
16-2-1.
He makes room. He makes room out there.
And he is the story.
Old Ken Reed adage, New York loves him. Every time he's on the ice, he is the story when he's on the ice. There is room being made, and they're 16-2-1 with Matt Rempe in the lineup. That's largely because they're a very good team, but it's also because Matt Rempe's out there.
A lot of people were talking about Rempe turning down Tom Wilson in a fight. How about the idea that Wilson wanted to fight him?
Yeah.
That is a horrible trade.
Oh, yeah.
For the Washington Capitals. That's a first-line player.
Fourth-line winger.
Against a dude who, we weren't even 100% certain he would play.
8 minutes a night.
That's a horrible trade.
Wilson wants to take himself out of the game just to fight him.
Yep.
Just to prove he's a tough guy.
Yep.
Come on. Matt Rempe, he has an effect on the game.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
And Rempe didn't fight him Not because I don't think he's scared of him, although maybe. Not because I think he's scared of him, though, because he's in his fucking walls.
Yes.
In his walls.
Yes.
Dude, it's hard to envision this being anything other than a 4-game sweep, but we'll see.
Tonight, 8 o'clock, the last 4th game could be the last one of the series.
And don't worry, I got you covered before that with a Canucks stream starting at 5 Eastern.
Maybe there will be shots in this one.
Maybe.
What the hell's going on with the scheduling tonight?
I
Edmonton plays LA at 10:50 Eastern puck drop.
I have no idea.
Why?
No idea.
On a Sunday night?
I don't understand that
You
at all.
push it to 10:50?
Yeah. Like
Yeah, that sucks ass.
That's 8 o'clock. I guess that's 9 o'clock Edmonton time because they're 2 hours different.
Generally, I think the staggering has been pretty good.
Yeah, that's bad.
No, that's 7:50 local. It'd be
Yep.
in LA.
It's just
7:50 local. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying that game is starting at nearly 9 o'clock on a Sunday for Edmonton.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
That
ridiculous.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, forget the East Coast. Like, no one's watching that.
Nope.
No one's
Oh,
watching
I'm
that.
gonna watch it.
Yeah, you're one of the weird ones. Like, literally no one but weirdos, like the most hardcore people, are going to watch that. Like, that's going to be a difficult one to watch in Edmonton if you have work tomorrow, which you probably do. It's Monday. Dude, that stinks.
I'm gonna leave the questions because the majority of them are Leafs questions.
Yeah,
and
let's just leave it. I thought so.
We've answered the most of them.
The answer is
during
Matt
the-
Rempe.
Yeah,
during
that
the
is the
podcast.
answer. He is the light.
Any other series you guys want to mention?
Just please, Canucks, break this Nashville thing, this headlock they have you in. Like, listen,
They won.
Vancouver's so much better than Nashville. Please make it an exciting.
I don't know. They got tripled in shots. Maybe they're not.
Islanders managed to make it 3-1.
Yeah.
Tampa managed to make it 3-1. So
I think it's very funny that we are over a week into this. We are more than 2 Saturdays into the playoffs. Everyone's still in.
Yep.
wow, there's so rarely a sweep in the NHL.
It's so rarely, but it looked like there might be 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I maybe shouldn't have made that such a point of emphasis in the playoff preview videos. And then everyone, except maybe the Capitals, survived.
I
also, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just was
No,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
I think Steve's beard looks really good. I think you look
It's
handsome.
starting to feel sexy.
Handsome and distinguished, I think.
Yeah.
How much longer are you gonna grow it?
Doesn't sound like long.
I don't. We can end on this. But,
All right.
I don't work for a rights holder, and I don't have any ties directly with the NHL, so I feel like I have the freedom to say this. The NHL first round this year has not lived up to the standard that the NHL promises for their first round.
I agree.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
We have had 3 series that have gone 3-0 so far. That is not common. Why our brackets are looking bad right now.
Yo.
And that's
my bracket looks
because
like shit.
we bank on the first round of the NHL playoffs being 6 games, 7 games. What did last year we got like 4 7-game series?
I think I
in
had
the first
3 in my
round.
bracket, yeah.
Unbelievable. This year, the bottom half of the playoff teams, especially in the East, have sucked. They haven't been worthy, and forget expanding the playoffs and play-ins right now.
Oh.
Like let's contract the playoffs. The first round this year has been a disappointment from a strictly entertainment factor, and this is coming from a guy who stayed up last night till 2:30 in the morning to watch an OT game, and that's just what I want to do because I love hockey. From an entertainment standpoint, from the series being close and competitive, the NHL, for all of Gary Bettman likes to trumpet out, we have the best playoffs in the world. Parity is our thing. Every team is competitive. Not this year. The dominant teams are dominating, and the sucky teams are sucking hard.
There you go.
I'm upset.
Jesse Blake, everybody. Let's wrap it up. Let's fire the extra. We're done.
Do you disagree? Do you agree?
No, I don't disagree.
I'm clapping.
I don't
That
disagree.
generally means that I think you nailed
Hey,
it.
maybe the playoff seeding doesn't lead to what they say it does, which it never has. It's so wild and crazy.
Maybe we just go to 1-8 and we're all fine.
It's almost like the playoffs get better because the best teams are remaining. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy how that happens?
Yeah, they want to have close local rivalries like Vancouver, Nashville.
SDP
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.